At the core of it, the immigrant story is the human story.
Meet Dozie Anyaegbunam, who's a media and editorial strategist that's building a digital media publication called The Newcomers.
I lacked confidence. I was struggling with speaking up. I was worried about my accent.
In today's episode, we talk about how to turn curiosity into a business. We figure out the main reason why people move, the realities behind being an immigrant, why human labels don't help, and much more.
Like, you literally packed your life into 2 suitcases and moved to a new country and started all over again from ground zero. So give yourself grace, forgive yourself. You're going to make mistakes.
Dozie is passionate about exploring the immigrant experiences through podcasts, docuseries, guides, and more. Always told from the perspective of immigrants themselves.
I think people are just looking to create a...
Dozie, you interview over 100 immigrants or stakeholders involved in the immigration process. What's the main reason people immigrate?
I don't know if there's a main reason, but I think if you had to just try to find a way to force it into one thing, I think it's just people are just looking to create a better version of themselves. I think that's what people are really trying to do. If they are moving from a war-torn area, that's probably a bit different. But again, it's still saying to themselves that, look, I'm here right now. There's war everywhere. If I move somewhere else, I can be a better version of myself than who I am right now in this place. Same thing with the economic immigrants. Like, okay, I'm here right now. If I move to, for me, I moved to Canada. I'm like, oh, if I go there, maybe I can make more money for myself, or I can live a better life for my kids. So I think in the end, really is a better version of ourselves. That's what we're looking for. What we say out might be different, but I feel like that's just what's really driving us, is that it's a chance to start again and be better than what you are currently.
That's a really good definition, because even that the specific reasons, the individual reasons might be different, at the end of the day, we want to become better version of ourselves, even if it's from a lifestyle perspective or economic opportunities or reality with families and so on. Most people move because they want to become better or something, or to have a better life. And still, that's not an easy route, right? You heard so many stories, you interview so many people, and yourself moving to Canada. How was the transition and what you learned out of it?
Gosh, like, where do I even start, honestly? Because moving is... I think there are a couple of the transition, it feels like there are different layers to it. There's the layer of you first have to find a way to take your old life and miniaturize it into something that you can travel with. So you now start choosing between, what do I go with or what don't I go with? What do I leave behind? What can I replace? And it feels like it's a very simple ask. It's just, hey, pack your clothes into the bag, choose your child's favorite toys, but, pick your best books. But every single of those things are memories and stuff, and there's a reason why you bought them. And so you have to make that choice, and sometimes what I've learned is that some people make that choice in the moment without thinking about it. And then when they now get to their new country, they start to think back. I'm like, gosh, I wish I had brought this thing because it reminded me of this. I have someone who shipped a chair over to Canada because it was her favorite chair.
That sounds...
that kind of thing. And so there's that layer. Then there's the thing that happens when you go past the security gates, and then you instantly become labeled immigrant. And then everyone sees you in that one box, the immigrant. And that's part of why I started Newcomers, honestly, because I'm like, humans are so complex and nuanced and broad and beautiful and everything that just labeling them in one box, immigrant, because they all came through one path, is not exactly fair to them. Because even me and my wife are two different people. Yes, we are immigrants and we are married, but we're two different people. We have history and heritage and everything behind us that is similar and different at the same time. If you put me in a group of Nigerians, the same thing. If you put me in a group of Africans, the same thing. And so there's all that thing. And then there's you come to the country, and then you're now like, okay, it's as simple as, what milk do I buy? Like, it's that simple. Like, what milk do I buy now? How do I find my child's new school? What are the choices I have to make? How do people choose to get schools here? I always tell people that something about the immigrant discourse I always find interesting is that people will say, to get a house, do this, 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 this. It's a checklist. It's not that easy. I'm thinking about the school. I'm thinking about, does that area feel welcoming? Does it feel like I can stay here? When I walk out, do I see people that smile at me? I moved to Ottawa when we just landed here. We left Ottawa. We decided to leave Ottawa after 6 months because Ottawa just felt a bit unfriendly. We live in Calgary now. We moved to a city that is a 39 hours road trip away from where we initially landed.
I always forgot how big Canada is.
Yeah, Canada is massive. Gosh, the Canada is too massive. 3 time zones, I think. It has 3 time zones or 4, I believe. I think it has like about 4 or 5 time zones. And so there's all that, like there's all that thing. And so the transition is like, it's, gosh. And and somehow in all of that, you're supposed to feel grateful for the new opportunity. And you're supposed to also just kind of hit the ground running because there's really no time. The bills don't wait for you. So you just kind of move.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you take too much time to accommodate to a place and so on, like, yeah, life is short, and you need to make something out of it. And how you make the most out of it, because I'm not just interested for myself, but also for those listening that are there wondering or maybe considering moving out of the place that you are currently living, or in search for better opportunities, better lifestyle, whatever the reason might be. And how you make that transition easier, because you mentioned that it can be a huge checklist that you have to go through in order to make sure that your transition is easy. But once let's say you take the most important things, kids school, I don't know, job, place to take or make grocery shopping or gym, whatever. After that, how you get accepted by the others?
So this is a really good question because it's part of it. A couple of things I'm thinking about and I'm trying to answer. So there's and I'm going to say a couple of things. I think there's one which I think is the most important thing, is find your community. And I would say community is not the people from your country. It's a mix of people who accept you for who you are, people who understand you, that you're an immigrant and all that kind of stuff. So find your community is very important. And I feel like that's the easy part. I think the hard part, and the most more important than that in a way, is internal. One is give yourself grace, honestly. Like, you just give yourself grace. It's so easy to assume that what you did was easy. It's hard. Like, you literally packed your life into 2 suitcases and moved to a new country and started all over again from ground zero. So give yourself grace. Forgive yourself. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have cultural mess ups. You're going to make a ton of things that you don't understand. And it's so easy to get, how human beings, especially when you're an adult and who has been used to doing things in a certain way, or you're already achieving a ton of things, and then you now move to a new country and you're like, why am I struggling to get this? Yes, you should struggle. You're literally like a baby again. That's the honest truth. You're an adult who's a baby again. You're literally 1 year old. Like, you're a babbling, can't talk, can't walk by themselves, shouldn't be allowed to cross the road by themselves baby. And I feel like just seeing yourself through those lenses allows you to give yourself grace. Then the other one, which is like a follow-up on this, is that, and I think it was Derek Sivers that said this to me, and I really appreciate that advice. As an immigrant, it's so easy for you to say, you meet someone in the country and you say, someone who was probably rude to you or racist to you or whatever to you, and you say, that's how the people in that country behave. That's a lie. Don't do that to yourself.
That's a big lie.
Don't do that to yourself. That you met someone who was horrible doesn't mean everyone in that country is horrible. The world has good people and bad people. It's in equal measure every single time. I mean, life is yin yang, good and evil, black and white. That's really life. And so don't, like, because I think because we are struggling, we are looking for connection, every other thing that happens to us in that time where we are moving to the country hurts. It hurts us much more than we should, and all that stuff. And please, no one should make. I'm not trying to be moralistic here. I also struggled with this a lot. Like I'm not perfect. I made my own mistakes. I also judged. I judged people. I was like, God, this person is horrible and stuff. But I'm just saying these are things I wish I knew when I just started. When I started out, as when I moved to Canada, I was just trying to understand the country, understand the people. You know, like just be like those people. You met some bad person. That's not the country. That's not Canada. You know, Canada has all these people, and when you meet the good person, that's okay. That's another view of Canada. You know, so for me, I feel like that's like if you that's the biggest thing. Those are the three biggest things. Like if because aside from all the checklist of I need to get a house, I need to do this, I need to do that. These other things you probably have a job, but still these other things still affect you in a way. They make you struggle, feel less confident in yourself, and all that kind of thing. All these things that come with moving to a new country.
What I like about that perspective is the fact that we are social animals, and if you don't find our tribe, if we cannot integrate, it's very hard to feel welcome. It's very hard to be well from physically, mentally, and so on. And this leads me to a quote that you have on Newcomers, so that the culture makes people understand each other better, from Paulo Coelho. And I love that so much because that's literally the case. And it's probably the biggest lesson that I learned in my 6 years of nomading. When I immersed myself in that culture that I was living in, it was much more easier to not only understand them, but they start to understand me as well.
Yes. Yeah. Gosh, like, you're so right. Because for me is so, and there's a concept I say that you see a lot of people say, immigrants say, they don't understand my whole self. Like I'm not living my whole self because I moved here. I have to change myself. And I'm like, the day you decided to move into a new country, your whole self changed. It's not the same anymore. So all you're doing is holding on to the whole self that allowed you to survive in your home country. When you move here, part of helping yourself, and this is not even whether you want to integrate or not, it's just part of helping yourself be happier, is accepting that your whole self has changed and start to say things like, what's the culture like here? What do I like and what don't I like? Because there's this book someone told me to read. He's a man called Benjamin Joffé. I had him on the podcast. He's lived in like over 9 countries, and he said that he's from France, and he says, I don't even feel as much as French. I don't feel French. I feel more Japanese than French. And why I find out that thing interesting is that it points to something about how when you move to a country, there are different kinds of people in the country. Some people are like you, some are not like you, and that's part of the community. But that's also the thing about you when you're saying to yourself that this is where I'm from, and so when I moved here, I can't change. No, like there are people in your country that are not like you. You and them don't agree on the same thing. So why are you holding on to that and saying, "Oh, that is my that's not your that's a." I mean, if we think about it, countries were things we created. The world, there are categories we created as the world modernized. Like at some point, all we were just tribes roaming around the world and hunting and stuff. If we had remained that way, and there are no visas and stuff, we'll just be crossing across into places and living and doing stuff. But we created countries to create some form of delineation or tribalization or whatever. But if you kind of go back to who we are as humans, like, and where we are coming from, but what are countries really? It's just boundaries we created ourselves.
Exactly, and you can move it to a smaller scale. Just look at your neighbors, and you realize how different you are. Like you don't have to compare yourself to your countrymen because that's even more bigger difference. Of course, might be there's some cultural nuances and some, let's say, you have in your DNA something that it's common to a lot of your compatriots because maybe you go through the same struggles. Let's say, I don't know. For example, in my home country of Romania, we went through communism until 89. So, of course, some of those wounds are affecting not only our parents, but us as well through their wounds. So those are commonalities. But apart from that, all of that, they're just in our head. Because I thought, for example, I enjoy so much certain things about my country until I live abroad a long period of time. And realize like I don't resonate a lot with those, are not part of my values, are just I was used to them because I was doing them every single day.
Yeah. I mean, like I have a theory I always say to people that first of all, I have two boys. One was born in Nigeria where he left when he was 4. The other was born. The second was born here. Yes, he's growing up in a Nigerian Canadian home, but he's very different from me because he's being raised here, and he's going to have a very different culture from who I am or how I do things and all that kind of stuff. Now, let's even make it a bit more complicated. But there's the second part of it, which is, why am I doing this battle? Because you know that it's very possible that in 5 or 6 generations, I could have Romanian descendants. Because all it just takes is my kids to decide they fall in love with a Romanian lady, they get married, they give birth to Romanian, Canadian, Nigerian kids, for example. Because of all the cultural integration that goes during that process, maybe for some reason, the kids love the Romanian part of their culture. And that kid the grandkid marries a Romanian lady, or they marry Romanians within themselves or whatever. But you know that by 3 or 4 generations, they are Romanians, and they look back and they're like, you know what? We had a granddad that was Nigerian.
And that's the beauty
Like,
of multiculturalism.
Yeah, it's not that far-fetched. Like, it's not that far-fetched.
Exactly.
So when I see people arguing all those things and, you know, holding on to certain things, I'm like, what are you fighting the future version of yourself? What if that's what you're doing?
Yeah, and even so, if you have a dramatic look at this, you can see labels are prisons. They're just blocking you in a situation that, like, you don't want to be in, but you just label yourself in a certain way and you're blocked there in that little box that you mentioned at the beginning.
Yes, I agree. Gosh, that's so good. Labels are prisons. That's what they are.
But
That's what they are.
if someone resonates with this, like, they label themselves, they're blocking that box, it will be your suggestion for them in order to escape.
Gabe, that's a hard one.
I know, but I know that you have the answer.
I don't know if I have the answer, honestly. That's a hard one because, like, I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't know what to say there. I honestly don't know what to say there because that's such a hard question. Because it's a thing, it's an internal thing. It's a thing you have to kind of start looking at yourself and spend time trying to understand who you are and what is actually driving what you call who you are. I think that's just like, that's the closest I can come to something that looks like an answer. It's like, just who are you and what's driving who you are? Like, who says that you even agree with what's driving all the things you're carrying around as the person you are? Because every label we carry around is a function of environments where we are, you know, nurture, nature, and all that stuff. And a lot of the times we are doing things that we haven't spent time to look at it and say, where is this coming from? Like, we're just doing them like machines or robots, like, and just going.
But I think you give the perfect answer, because that self-reflection is something that you have to do, because otherwise we cannot identify why we are labeling ourselves like that and why we are stuck.
Yeah, because yeah, it's a, you know, I tell people that people talk a lot about propaganda and all, but what they don't talk about enough is the propaganda they don't even see, the one that controls them without them seeing that it controls them. I tell my wife that what I'm scared of the most is what I don't know that I don't know. It scares me. Like, what's that thing I don't know that I don't know? So I think about that a lot, like, and which is why I always tell people that I'm more obsessed with questions than answers. Is, can I have the right questions? No, can I have the right answers? That for me, that's my rule. I live is like, am I always asking the right questions? And because every answer has a follow-up question, and do I have the right question to ask after the answer? Because if you get stuck in the answers, then you think that it can fix you if you're not careful. And we're just kind of going back to what we're talking about, is that thing about that thing. The things that we don't know are the things that control us the most.
I don't even think we need to ask complicated questions. I think if you ask ourselves why, then why again, then why again, then why again, we might find some deep answers that sometimes can scare us. Because as you mentioned, we end up to an answer that we had no idea that is there, but those can unlock so much potential. And that's the beauty of questions, right? And as a podcaster, you know for sure how important questions are. to get that story, to get those insights, to get those things out of people. And for those that are stuck, I think they can simply start there, to asking themselves better questions and see what they can unlock there. And please tell me why you're doing this. Why Newcomers? Why being a podcaster?
I was just trying to understand myself.
That's a good one.
I was just trying to understand, like, what does it mean to be an immigrant? What? So this thing I did, because the first 1 year, Gabe, it was wild for me mentally. I struggled. Like, I struggled a lot the first 1 year. Like, I wasn't like, I was like, who am I? What did I do? Like, what? Like, how did I get here? Like, what is this thing? What is going on with me? I lacked confidence. I was struggling with speaking up. I was worried about my accent. I couldn't go into a bar if there was no colored person in the bar. I felt so out of place. Like, I felt so out of place. Like, I was just like, what am I doing here? And so it first kind of started off with, you know what, I'm going to send a Google document to people that I know are immigrants and just tell them to tell me what it felt like on the first night, on the first day, when they got their first, when they rented their first house, when they got their first job. Because I want to understand how they went through that process, and just kind of see if that will help me. One is, I'm not alone in this. And two is just to write an article about it and just say, hey, like, this thing is actually wilder than we think it is. And then from there, at some point, I was like, oh, maybe it should be a podcast. And now it's like, oh, maybe it's a media publication. Maybe there's another, maybe. But honestly, that's so, which is why when if people ask me, what are you doing? I say, all I'm just trying to answer is, what does it mean to be an immigrant? That's really what I'm trying to answer. What does it mean to be an immigrant? For myself and for other people who are looking to move. Because I feel like if you understand it, it also helps us build better connections, better bridges. Because a lot of the things we see happening today is because I don't think we understand what is going on from both sides of the divide, from the immigrant side and from the native side. And so we're just always fighting and blaming ourselves. So for me, like, honestly, that is at the base, that is it.
And I think that is what is making it beautiful, because you start from a curiosity point and to understand yourself and so on, and you develop something that it's impacting lives. Because the interviews that you're making and putting a light on the topic, it's so important, not just for those that are struggling with the same challenges, but those that are about as well to make the step and become one. And I think that's powerful, because when you start something and build something from a place of curiosity rather than, oh, let's build, I don't know, the next big Joe Rogan experience or the next big whatever podcast, that's one thing. But when you build from a place of curiosity and that evolves into something that you enjoy doing and so on, that can be very fulfilling, I assume.
Oh yeah, it is. Honestly, I feel like, I just went full time on it 2 months ago, and I feel like that's the best call I made for myself. Because I really hope, what I'm hoping that at some point I build is just a library of stories that just helps us understand ourselves better. Because at the core of it, the immigrant story is the human story. We've been immigrating for centuries and ages and decades. We immigrated from Africa, as they say, across the world. We've just been immigrating across the world all this while. That's really who we are as a people, And so, yeah, that's all, like, honestly, that's all me. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing this.
Love it, man. Love it. And I might upset some people, but those that still believe that there is such a thing as, I don't know, pure blood or whatever it's called, or there's not such thing. Like, we move so much, we build so many new tribes, if you want, and new countries and so on, and that's the beauty of humankind, and the freedom of it, to be able to move around and choose where to live, choose what you do, choose who you want to do it with, and so on. It's powerful. And I like the freedom that you build for yourself with this movement. On that note, on the business side of things, because a lot of people are maybe sitting around now and have no idea about the next step. Maybe, I don't know, AI replaced them in their current job, or they are struggling to make the next move in their life and business. What would be your advice for them?
Please just try for 3 years, 2 years at least before you decide to do it full time. I think for me, which is what I did, is someone said to me that, or I read it somewhere, I believe, where they said, when you're trying to do something, and like if you're working or whatever, you have a job, first build it on the side for at least 2 years. It takes you at least 3 years to replace your salary. That's one. It takes you at least 2+ years for you to decide if that thing is worth doing, because then you'd have spent time, because you need to spend time on it. Especially if you're not trying to build something where you're going to ask for venture capital funding or stuff, you're kind of bootstrapping. So you don't need to rush out of there. Like, stay in your job and just spend time trying to understand it. Because, and I would also preface that I'm probably speaking from a place of, oh, this is how I've seen the world. Like, this is how I've seen the world, and this is based on what I'm building. But you have to just kind of spend some time with that problem and give it like, you know how when you give a baby a chance to grow, so you treat it like a child, like it's like a baby, it's like, okay, you're experimenting, what's going on here, how do I do this best, what works, what doesn't work, oh, I tried this. Because your first iteration of an idea is not the best iteration of the idea. That's the honest truth. But what you cannot do is say you want to wait around for the best iteration of the idea. You get to that best iteration by trying and doing different things. Because when I look at when I started this, the Newcomers, and what I'm doing today, honestly, Gabe, like all things I'm doing today, I did not see it at all. I did not see it. I had no detailed business plan, or no, I just had a question I was going to answer, and I had okay, this is how this question is, I'm going to work on this question, or it's going to be a podcast. I finally came to, it could be a podcast. And then I started a podcast. And then over time, it's going, oh, podcast. Oh, we've done docu-stories. We've done guides. We've collaborated with people to do stuff. We are talking with partners. We're doing interesting things right now. We are experimenting with different things and trying different things. But as of when I released the first episode on March 12, 2023, I did not see any of the things I see today. I did not. And I think that a lot of people want to see the now, like forget about the future. Then the present is what defines the future. That's how so if you do the present right, the future kind of shows up. So we obsess about the future when in reality, life is too probabilistic. So I think the thing here is that human beings are deterministic in the way we think. We can somehow, our brain loves to pattern match and determine what will come next. But that's not how life works. Life is very probabilistic. It's a lot of things bubbling together, and then it creates something. And so you spend so much time determining what works, when all you can do is just say, this is where I am right now. What works right now? That's the only thing you can determine. So do that, because probability will happen and you don't know what the future is. Just be excited about it. So that's what I'll say. It's a very long-winded answer to your question, but like honestly, that's what I'll say to the person who's thinking of, should I start? Should I jump? Should I do this? I'll be like, no.
And that's a powerful and real answer, because often most answers are polished, and that's why I love this unscripted conversation, because they are real ones. They're actually the reality of business. I bet the biggest businesses in the world, they didn't start like, look, let's say Amazon. They didn't start like this. And most of businesses, they start like something else, and they figure out as they go. And as you share, the future will unfold at some point. But if you just wait for the perfect moment for building the perfect business plan and so on, you'll never start anything. And that's the unfortunate truth a lot of people get stuck in. And for those, I'd like another advice from you, because you made it happen. And I'm sure you went through a moment in which you said, okay, I want to answer this question, but still what I'm doing here, what I can turn this into something that will allow me to get full time on. When was that moment, and how you overcome that?
I think it was probably about sometime last year that I started to get the sense that this could be something more than I see. It could be way bigger than I think it is. Because as I kept on building and recording podcasts, I started to see other things that we could do or stories we could tell. And those stories require different format for what I was doing already currently. And people will probably ask, were you thinking of making money? I mean, yeah, I was saying, okay, there's probably a way to make money, but I didn't know how I was going to make money. I still think I don't fully know how he's going to make money, but I do know there's some revenue streams, there's some products we're trialing out. But what I was more curious about was every single time I've always said to myself, what has always driven every single thing I've done is, how does this tell the immigrant story with the respect and authority and love that that story deserves? And how does this become a bridge between the immigrants and the non-immigrants per se, even though I think everyone's an immigrant, either 10, 20 generations back or so, but currently right now, in the current state, immigrant versus non-immigrant. And I think it was about that time I started saying that this thing is way bigger than I think it can never be, than I see. But I still say to myself, you know what, you just need to answer the question in front of you right now and then see what tomorrow brings. And then so that was like the first stage. And I think earlier this year, it now became clear to me, like, yo, you have to decide, you have to make a choice based on seeing all the things you need to do. You can't do that while working if you're not doing it full time. And if you ever want to get it to make money, then you have to give it more attention because it's asking you for that amount of attention. So I think it's a function of maybe the tactical answer is in a way that is that as it grows and as you do it, it starts to demand attention from you. A lot of people try to use metrics like how much you're going to make and stuff, or the attention you get from others. But I think those things actually stifle you, because then you now start to build for the audience. And I'm not saying you shouldn't build for the audience. The audience is a good metric to use to kind of gauge how you're performing. But a lot of the time, the product, if it has the right audience product fit, the product will tell you where to go. Because as you're building it, you start to see the things start showing up. But if you metric yourself based on how much you're making, you can cap yourself, because you can literally go put yourself into a pigeonhole because all you're thinking about is how much I'm going to make from that pigeonhole. And it gets really hard for you to come out of it, because there are places you get into and it's almost impossible to come out to, because and you'll make money, which is okay, but maybe you would have made more, or maybe you would have had more impact and still made money at the same time, So I think it's, for me, it's like just the products that get, as you're building and you're looking at today, I did this today, this is how it worked out, this is what's working right now, these are the ideas I have. The person has to tell you where you're going, and you'll know that, okay, like, I'm struggling right now to do my full-time work while I'm doing this on the side. Like, it'll be so obvious to you, and at that point in time, you now have to start preparing. So I kind of feel like I prep to go full-time for like maybe like 7-8 months mentally in my head, just talking to myself every single time, trying to save some money on the side just to kind of at least give yourself a runway for a couple of 3, 4, 5 months or something, that sort of thing. But the mental battle starts like I feel like it starts like 8, 9 months before you finally do it.
Yeah, because there is fear, there is uncertainty, there are a lot of things that, not to mention limiting beliefs and stuff. Again, I like that advice. Because it comes from a place of real life experience. Often, we are put in a situation in which we stay at our job, we go full time, stay on our job, and as you mentioned, it can take months to decide and so on. And if someone is listening and it's in that situation, give yourself time. I think is the best way to go about it. Give yourself time and see how you go, because there's no real pressure out there until, of course, you like you mentioned, like if you see that it's a moment in which that side gig or whatever you're doing on the side is needing more attention.
I would say once you start to see that, then start prepping for it, because I'm not sure you can make that jump almost immediately, but just start preparing for it, because you need to prepare. Like, when I've talked to a couple of entrepreneurs, they'll say to you that, oh yeah, it took me like 6, 7 months to decide I was going to do this. Like I knew it was good. I knew it was important. I knew it was profitable. And there's some businesses that don't operate with these rules. Like, you stumble upon some secret that turns on and you start making some good money from it. And so it becomes a much easier call. It's like, okay, I'm making enough money right now to pay my bills and I'm just going to jump. But if you're not, which is where most people are, like, which is why sometimes I don't like all the zero to hero stories, because we glorify the winners. We don't talk about the in-betweeners the guys who are in, or the people who are in between, and the people who failed. And those ones most of the stories are that way. Like, they had to struggle for years before they made money. Not everyone turns on a tap and makes money almost immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. And often those stories aren't told because they don't made it to the top of the mountain or whatever, and they realize that maybe I should not share my story, but you should, like, if you're listening, like, share that story, share that failure story, share that struggles, because people have so much to learn from it. And speaking of learning, do you have any lessons so far that you want to share from this journey with the newcomers, apart from those that they already shared?
Maybe it's kind of repeating, but it's almost like a do it afraid. Like, just do it. Like, just do it afraid. Like, you will never stop being scared. Never. Even when you're trying to do it as a side thing, you'll still be scared. So just do it afraid. Like, and the truth is that the fear muscle that you build from doing it as a side thing is what will allow you to do it for one more month, is what will allow you to start even thinking of continuing after, even when it gets hard. It's what will allow you to start even considering jumping to do it full time. It's what will allow you to jump full time. But you can't go from not building that muscle at all to just jumping into it full time. I feel like you build that muscle gradually. And as you take gradual steps and build, you become a bit more bolder. And I feel like we always talk a lot about the 0 to 1. I don't think there's 0 to 1. There's 0, there's 0.2, there's 0.5, there's 0.6. I suspect that 0.6 to 0.1 is the hardest part, because that's a huge jump, you know. But so you have to kind of do it, just step by step by step. So, which is why I say do it afraid. Like, just do it. Like, oh, okay, yes, set up that domain name, talk to a couple of people, build out the product, pitch it, just do it. Because if you do that, then you're like, it gets easier to sell. It gets easier but you have to do it first. If you don't, then all you have is a dream, just a dream.
It's nice to dream, but if you don't take any action, those dreams will just remain dreams. And what's the thing that you help with as a media and editorial strategist? And who are your ideal clients?
Most of the time I have is focused on the podcast. But like, for folks who are looking for stuff with podcast strategy, I help people kind of do that, podcast ideation, production, end-to-end concepting, all the way to deciding how you should, to picking the right equipment and stuff. So I help people do that. That's what I do on the side when I have the time, to be honest. Because it's time. But ideal clients ideally are folks who are looking to launch podcasts, B2B podcasts, or immigration focused podcast, or immigration focused series, those sort of things. Like, those are my ideal clients, basically. Customer businesses who are looking to build out video series or stories that help to promote their brand or show their impact. Then I help those kind of people just kind of say, you know what, hey, this is the question you need to answer. Because I always kind of say to people that you have to answer a question. People kind of get stuck on stories. I'm like, forget the stories, especially if it's non-fiction. Forget the stories. Let's find the right question. Because once you find the right question, then we can find the stories or the characters that help us answer that question. And then that way you build things that people want to watch or people see and they feel it in their guts, because it's speaking to something that is human, because if you're stuck on the stories, then who says that's the best story? Does it answer the question your audience is trying to answer? So that's what I usually help people do.
Love it. And if anyone resonates from those listening, where they can reach out to you?
Mostly LinkedIn. My email. You can put that in the show notes, but mostly LinkedIn. Or send me an email. Check out the Newcomers, please, but mostly LinkedIn. And if you send me a LinkedIn DM, I'm very responsive. I'll respond to you on LinkedIn. Or send me an email and I'll respond on that email.
Love it. And both emails and links will be down below. And final thing for you, a challenge. For those that are listening, tell them what they should do in less than 1 week in order to start building something that, who knows, future will tell, as you said, might become something bigger, but to start that first step, what they can do in less than 1 week.
I'm simplifying here, but find the biggest thing that irritates you? What's that thing that irritates you?
Oh
Like
man,
just
that's so good.
irritates you. Like, it's just that thing that irritates you. Just find the things that irritates you, and then map that to what's the thing I know about that thing that irritates me, and do I know enough to try and fix it? Because I think that, and this is probably a bit opposite to what the last statement I made, which is, do I know enough to fix it? But just ask yourself those questions, because then the next step is saying to yourself, okay, whether I know enough, whether I don't know enough, but what I have is, it irritates me. So because it irritates me, I want to fix it, because I want to know, like, how do I fix this thing? You're more likely to apply, because I think the biggest thing in this world is just passion. Passion is the biggest thing in this world. And I think that we have compressed it too much, and we've tried to commodify it, which is why I feel like we don't build beautiful things anymore. But I feel like if you follow your passion, it allows you to build things that are beautiful. Like, it allows you with beautiful things, because your passion makes you curious. And when you're curious, you ask the right question. You ask the right question. When you ask the right questions, you learn the things others don't learn, because you're asking because you're curious about that problem or that thing that irritates you. And then that way you build something really beautiful.
Indeed. When you put all those together, it can really be the jump board or starting point for something truly fulfilling.
Yeah. Please go build beautiful things, people. We need more beautiful things in the world.
Absolutely. And you're doing amazing with the newcomers and
Thank you.
to tune in as well. And can't thank you enough, Dozie, for joining me today.
Thank you.
It was a wonderful conversation, and I'm sure it's not just inspiring others, but also giving them that extra push to start something meaningful and something that they are passionate about.